Now recording. It's recording.
It is being
go.
recorded.
Yes, there you go.
Kathy.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so we call the meeting.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. Reed?
I'm good. I'm just happy that everybody's here in the meeting, and I just think that it's going great. You're doing a great job, Tolene. Thank you for stepping up to the plate, and I appreciate everybody that's on the call.
Okay, so when we had our meeting last month, we spoke about the mission statement. We needed to rewrite the mission statements. Our mission statement was kind of scary. And so I asked for any help. I did get some input from Miss Coronel Beatrice, and I got some input from Miss Bond, Denise Bond, and some input from our first vice chair, Egeria Bennett. So I was very happy. So I've completed that. Egeria, you were going to decide whether we were going to put them all out or send them all, or
You could actually speak about how the mission statement has evolved. You know, so if you have it there, you can just speak to how it has evolved.
okay. The first mission statement was too grammatically incorrect, or maybe 3 sentences that kind of scared me. So this is what I came up with so far, and we switched around with the inspiration from Egeria to the Education and Youth Services Committee, as opposed to Youth Services and Education Committee. We're going to lead with education. Collaborates with public and private schools, colleges and universities, teachers and parents or guardians, along with all community stakeholders, to ensure positive educational outcomes for our community. The goal is to improve educational service provided to the community in our district and collaborate with other communities in the borough. The committee will serve as a liaison between community members, mental health providers, and the New York City Department of Education, including but not limited to libraries, parent advocates, parent associations, CEC District 11, educators and principals, school safety, administration for children's services, district attorney's office, New York City Department of Youth and Community Development, and local organizations and nonprofits. That is it. I think I covered everything that we do. It was mentioned in the original form that we were part of another organization, which is no longer in effect since 1998, which is now DYCD. So that's the only difference that you might see. Want to say anything? Yes.
Great. It's great, Tolene.
Thank you.
Let me just ask a question. Are you saying we are no longer DYCB's Department of Youth and what?
No, DYCD is in effect now. What it says when you look it up in the community boards on the Bronx Borough President's website, it says the Department of Youth Services. The Department of Youth Services ended in 1998 and it became DYCD. So that's why I changed it to DYCD and not the Department of Youth Services.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
No, definitely DYCD.
Department of Youth and Community Development, they merged.
Right, sorry. Yes.
The community development aspect, because community development used to be separate, you know, which was separate grants, but they merged the two entities together. So it's Department of Youth and Community Development. And in a sense, you would still collaborate, only because the planning board, the community boards does have a youth component. I mean, there is supposed to be youth on the board, you know,
Yes.
They are supposed to, and that's what this, you know, committee would do moving forward is to prep and mentor and encourage youth to be a part of the board. Because I think from 16 years old, youth can serve on the board. And, that's it. There's another component for youth and community services that would be important to connect with. Summer youth employment, for instance,
Yes,
So,
I was just getting ready to speak about that because it just opened up. Finally, well, last year they didn't have it. Normally, during the summer, I've had a PAL site for the past 17 years in the Bronx, and I do hire SYEP. So it opened up, is it yesterday? Yes, on the website for youth between the ages of 14 and 24. And they will have exactly 32 days to go online and register. It is done by a lottery, and that's how they're chosen. Anyone else want to discuss summer youth? Yeah, last year they didn't hire. Well, they hired later, but it was called Summer Bridge, and that was just toward the end of the summer, where they gave some youth jobs, but nowhere near what we normally hire, because normally during the summer I hire at least 32 kids at my site. Beatrice, would you like to jump in for me and let's talk about a little bit about mental health, because there's a lot going on with that for me.
There is a lot going on. I know that high schoolers went back this week. So, we should all be paying attention to what happened. Talking about the youth, I know that sometimes they have to complete community service hours. So if you come across any schools that, students that need to complete community service hours, the ad hoc not-for-profit committee could use some students when we start dispersing the community survey. So if anybody hears of any students that need to complete community service hours, please send them our way. And we're just, paying attention to what happens now that the high schoolers went back, and, any kind of additional services that they may need. So we're just paying attention right now. No other updates, but thank you.
Dr. Hunter. Dr. Hunter is current in the DOE. She works at one of the high schools in the DOE, and I invited her just so she could say a few words about what exactly is going on now with the guidance counselors, with the students, if any short input.
Currently, I'm working remotely, Colleen, because I have medical issues.
Okay.
So I am not in the school building, and I have not been mandated to go back to the school building until September.
Okay, awesome. But
my particular challenge is providing services via Teams or Zoom and having my children have their cameras on. My particular challenge is making sure that I am able to support them, because mentally their health is in jeopardy. My children are suffering.
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
That was it.
That was it. Okay.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned about their mental health, because it's been challenging them. It's been wearing on them.
Well, I spoke about this, Lauren, the last meeting, because I needed people to understand, if they don't already understand, that students not only, it's not only a matter between them and their teacher, they also link up with different people that work in the schools. They link up with the school safety. They link up with the custodian. They link up with the school aides. They link up with the secretaries, whoever they can talk to. And this is what some of the students are missing.
Yes, exactly. The contact that they're used to getting and the support that they're used to having is not in place anymore because they don't have the opportunity to come into the school building and link with the various people who offer support.
So our other person that was going to speak, if you noticed, was Maria Morales, and she contacted me just before I clicked and said that she was not feeling well and would not be able to present tonight. And she is the United Federation of Teachers parent and community liaison. So she will hopefully be back with us for next month's meeting.
Colleen,
Yes,
I wanted to speak about the mental health of the students, the high school students.
please.
I spent like 30 years in that realm, high school, and I've seen variety of different, I'm sorry, I'm in my car, a variety of different reactions to different things. I know one thing, just even going back to school is going to cause a problem because just getting out of the house, getting into a routine after having been on social media all this time and now having to go in and deal with live bodies. Another thing that I'm concerned about is the social distancing and such. With high schools, you change periods. I mean, I know they do that in junior high and stuff, but you change periods, but you also have different lunch periods. That's the physical part of it, but I'm trying to see how they're going to keep them separate well, or how they're going to deal with this. And the teachers as well, because they've been home and they were doing things that they were not used to doing, have never done before, were not trained to do it. And now you have the students coming back and nobody knows their head from their shoe. Some of them never met the teachers in person. Most of them, a lot of them never met the students.
Right.
So now here you are in a closed situation with a stranger that you just met online. It's not the same as, I mean, I don't do online dating, but I guess that would be similar to that. You've been dating this person online. Now you have to see them in person. And they're so behind in the curriculum. Many teachers were never trained how to do distance learning, but they did it anyway. And for whatever it's worth, no one's who checked on them. The supervisors check on them. The supervisors didn't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do. I think it's a bad idea. I mean, just send them back at this time without any kind of further training. Now, the science, which is my area of expertise, for the living environment, which is the 9th grade, 9th, 10th grade, you're supposed to have 30 hours of labs in order to take that Regents. I know they're saying they're postponing Regents, but I can tell you this, that they didn't have any labs. These are future doctors. These are people that have to put their hands on you in the future, some of them. So it's a big hot mess that we're in. And the teachers don't know what to do. The supervisors don't know what to do. Principal doesn't know what to do. Superintendent doesn't know what to do. Who knows what to do? You have to meet before you do things. It's a haphazard thing that's going on here. I don't agree with it at all. Just because they open the schools that everybody's in there, I don't agree with that. Without training.
Can I touch something on that?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to share with you, Dr. Robbins. I have close friends that actually working with the teachers union, and them guys are really stepping up, and they're doing a lot of things and I think that they're really like putting things together as they come, because nobody really knows. But I think that they're really on top of it. They're really on top of it, man. So if that could make you feel a little bit comfortable, them guys are working hard. The teachers, just everybody that's involved, because it's new for everybody. But I really believe, like, through the information that I shared that they're really on top of it. And now that they have a little bit of backing with the new president and some of the stuff that they're
New
putting out
chancellor,
there,
you mean? The new chancellor
not just the new chancellor, but I'm just saying
and the
like
new
all of the
president.
funds and
Okay.
the money that's being released. And, I think that, everybody just has to do a little bit, to help out, because it's going to be a team thing, because everybody don't know what's going to happen. I just think that we need to all just be on one page and work together. I think we're going to be all right. We got
Yeah,
we got 5
eventually,
doctors. We got 5 doctors on this call. Imagine how many doctors is on the calls for the kids. People stepping up, man. And I'm so proud that people are stepping up, like, because, everybody knows that it's uncomfortable, man. But I'm in agreement with that too. It's uncomfortable.
it's uncomfortable, but I'm telling you, just to give you an example, not to be the naysayer, I'm not a naysayer. Trust me. I want everything to work out right, but I've never thought that everything was done in a proper way. You have to plan. Now, you have to try to plan some things. You have to teach teachers how to teach from a distance. You have to teach the students how to learn from a distance, for example. They've done what they had so far, so now you're coming in class. That's going to be a big change. You know that. It's a big change. No one knows that. One time I had a situation where the principal misprogrammed the entire school. Excuse me? The principal misprogrammed the entire school. Then she took people out of your class, and then they turned around and went back into class. Those children never behaved for the rest of that semester. You had to pass them whether they did the work or not. And that's what's going to happen here too. But now on a bigger scale.
I agree. I agree with
It's
you
going to be on a
wholeheartedly.
much bigger scale.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have been one of those teachers that
Who's speaking,
Dr. Hunter.
please?
This is
Okay.
Dr. Hunter. I have been one of those teachers that has been displaced, that has not been taught how to do my job remotely. So I had to figure it out and offer the best service that I possibly could for my students. And I do believe my attitude and my heart is in the right place, because I want to do the best by them. However, I'm inadequate where technology is concerned. I don't do well with technology. So in the background, I'm calling other teachers to help me set up a classroom, to help me get signed in, to help me reach out to my children. It was a comedy of errors, because we were all just thrown out there and expected to make it work. And we did to the best of our ability. However, it's a mess. And going back, there needs to be training and transition. That too will be a mess. I agree with you, Doc. I agree with you 100%.
I know what I'm talking about, 'cause I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I know it. People may seem like teaching is an easy thing to do. It's not.
Not at all.
It's
Not
not.
at all.
And you have to have a relationship with these students. They don't know you. They know what they think they know of you. And now here you are with them in person. I can only imagine how that's going to pan out. A lot of mental issues. Students are usually going to school now with their pajamas on. What?
Yeah.
A classroom?
Trust me, I'm only retired on paper. Because I'm literally still talking to everybody. Miss Bond, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
I just wanted to see if you could chime in, because you are current in the schools right now.
Yes, I'm on the elementary division. I know that the high school students are going back now. One thing that I wanted to mention is that there is this opt-in period that's taking place from starting tomorrow through April 7th for students who are currently remote students who want to come back into the school building. So if you know of parents who are interested in having their schools, and it really depends, I think, on some of the schools. I know in my school building is in District 8, and my principal is trying to, once he gauges the initial response from this opt-in period, he will then be able to see how he's going to program the school. But he's aiming to have those students come back 5 days a week, because now the CDC has changed the guidelines and saying that instead of 6 feet, it can be 3 feet. So they're still going to have the testing in place. They're still going to be wearing the mask, and they're not going to have the students necessarily, coming in and out of classrooms as much as they ordinarily would, but it's going to be more students in the building. So it's and I totally agree with everything that has been said prior to that. That it's definitely it's like the phrase has been that we are flying the plane and building the plane all at the same time, and so that definitely has been the case from March of last year until now. And I don't think the teachers could get any training because no one knew what to even tell you. So it's not that there was some training out there that they could offer you, because they had no idea. They had no idea. At this point, I think that many of the teachers, like myself, we did our best to and many hours of learning on the go. I'm not by any means a tech wizard, and so I had to really train myself. The knowledge that I gained from the end of March last year to this year, yeah, I feel like I learned a tremendous amount. But am I still tech savvy per se? Not really, but I've learned a lot. So it's been a learning experience, and you did the best that we could. This is unprecedented times. So we did the best that we possibly could under the circumstances. Was it perfect? By no means. By no means. So that's what I would have to offer on that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banks. I am so very happy to see you. Welcome, and I need you to chime in for me on the colleges, please, and higher education.
Hi, good afternoon, and good afternoon, everybody. So at Bronx Community College and at CUNY colleges, let me see if I could take off my mask really quickly. I have contractors in the house. But hold on one second. Sorry about that. So yeah, so at Bronx at CUNY, what they did was they actually took faculty to train other faculty on how to go remote. So we had an entire semester on how to do online teaching. I was one of the facilitators. CUNY actually, the governor gave money to CUNY to facilitate these trainings. So they paid me about $1,000 for this semester to train other faculty on how to go remote learning. So that might be something that the high schools can probably benefit from going forward, or the K through 12s. In addition, next semester, well, starting from fall 2020, the school has been partially in person. Only those classes, like the fellow science teacher that was on that was speaking previously, only the classes that had to do New York State licensure, like the medical laboratory technician program, the nursing program, rad tech program, those programs were allowed to start their classes in fall 2020 and spring 2021. But next semester, like some of you have already mentioned, we are going back in person. At least 30% of the campus is going back, and they're doing something called high flex. So during the summer, they're going to train. We're going to do training on how to use a high flex material devices. So I think there is a disconnect between the K through 12 and the colleges, because we were given this money and this opportunity to do the training, but the K through 12 was not. So I think if we can figure out how to bridge that gap to make sure that the training is threaded through the different levels of education, that would be great. But I do want to mention that faculty train faculty. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the same for high schoolers, but the information that we did for the training that we did for faculty, we can also duplicate that for high school students. I mean, high school educators. We still do labs online. So we do have virtual hands-on labs as opposed to the other things that's not in place. So we're making the transition. And I think we need to figure out a way to bridge that gap and work collaboratively so that whatever we're getting at the college level, that K through 12 is getting as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello?
If I could ask a question of Dr. Banks?
Hello?
I'm sorry.
Go
Can
ahead.
I ask a
Go ahead.
question?
Go ahead, Ms. Bond.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Banks, because I was totally unaware of that. Couple of things. When you said that you're doing the online labs, is the material sent to the student's house? How does that work?
Amazing. So there's two ways we're doing labs. So the one way we're doing hands-on lab, like when we're doing things like osmosis, the concept of osmosis, they're asking the student to get an egg and they're going through the lab process via Zoom using the information, the materials at their own home. For
Okay.
the online labs, simulators, we have Labster, for example, and that's for high school students. So I'm surprised you guys wasn't provided that, because they gave it to us. They paid for our students to have access to it. It was $9 per student. We had about over 30,000 students across the CUNY curriculum. We actually used the CARES Act to pay for it. CUNY paid for it up front through money that the governor gave us. And then we reimbursed that money through the CARES Act. But I can put in a chat some of the links that we use to do the simulators, but they will go into the simulators from their tablets or from their electronic devices, and they would click the button to see the process, the breakdown of glycolysis, for example, or the Krebs cycle and how that's operating, and clicking it to see the ATPs and the oxygens come off. So when it came to microscope, they had to actually focus the microscope and read the microorganisms within it and then type in the information. The simulator gave them answers, not answers, but once they put the answers in, the simulators basically graded them. And then we get to see the student progress on the back end, what questions they got wrong, what questions they got right. And the students get to see it as well. So that's what we used.
Interesting. And then the second part to what I wanted to know was the training that where you say the other instructors were training the other instructors. How would the K through 12 go about accessing the training? How would that work? Because literally, I mean, the teachers, at least in my school building I can speak to, we did help to train each other. So what one person picked up, the other person like, oh, I realized that if you click here and you do this, this is how this could work. And then we put it together. But it was many hours that we spent after school working on that. So if there is some sort of training that would be available to help us at this point, absolutely, we'd like to take advantage of that from the K through 12 perspective. But we don't know that it exists in the realm that you're speaking of.
Thank you for that question. I think the best way to go about that would be to we have partnerships with high schools, for example, and other K through 12 initiatives. And I'm sure that if you reach out to us or reach out to me, I can help facilitate that more readily. But I can put you in contact with that team, and maybe we can get somebody from that team to do a workshop at your high school. It will be virtual, of course, and see if we can facilitate it that way. We can see if there's a grant that's available to help to mend those bridges between high school and college, or K through 12 through college, and see if we can get funding so that the faculty that's going to be doing the workshops again, it's not a one-time thing. I just want to make sure we understand that this was something that was done over a 5-week period of time. And then after the 5-week period, it was done, every week they did a check-in. How's your Blackboard going? How's, your lectures, your pre-recorded lectures? They provided a consortium of resources that we can tap into, and review that information with us to see if we were following, the lesson plan. So it was more than just the 5 weeks. It was 5 weeks plus the entire semester. We was there available for people that needed assistance. So if we want to do this on the high school level, I would recommend getting in contact with me. I will get in contact with the Teaching and Learning Center in CUNY and figure out how we can go about providing this service for the K through 12.
What you're speaking
I
about
would
is
like to
also
make a
applicable to
suggestion,
elementary
Dr.
school.
Banks.
It should be, because basically what we're doing is we're looking at different models online that can be applicable to the classes. So we're just teaching a course, a training course, and then you as the instructor will look at the resources that we're providing and pick out the lab simulators that's effective for you, or whatever the case may be. So you have that option to you make it more for your class.
Okay, thank you so much.
Ms.
I
Blair,
would like to make a suggestion. Can I have the floor?
sure.
Okay, and Dr. Banks, of what you said and how that's, but I would like to make a suggestion to our board that since we have a new chancellor and we know that this wide problem, that first of all, that we should welcome her, give her our support, and then ask for her support. So this can be done not in a haphazard way, because the way that it was suggested, that would be like a small, but this has to be throughout the, it has to be throughout the system. And it would behoove us to write a letter to the chancellor, tell her, what needs to be done, because, quite frankly, she needs our support, because maybe she doesn't
Hello?
know. Yes.
Hello, can I speak?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
Johnny.
yeah. Three things I'm going to hit on. I agree with the last spokesperson a few minutes ago, having a new chancellor and allowing her, Ms. Porter, Chancellor Porter, to do her assessment and her recommendation, because after all, she was the executive superintendent and she was hands-on on a lot of things. Now, I'm going to say something that may be, I'm opening to any discussion. I met already with the new executive superintendent, Tobias, because we were
Say that
friends.
again?
Can you hear me? We have a new interim acting executive superintendent, Tobias.
Right.
Erica Tobias. She was a school teacher at PS 41. She went to 194 on Zariga when that new school was built. She came back to 41 as a principal. Now she was put into a superintendent position in District 8. Now she's back in District 11, not only District 11, but the entire Bronx as our superintendent. And I met with her. I was with her on Saturday when we had our women's history program, and she came with her husband. And she spoke to several principals that was there, including Sonobi White from the Altoona campus, scholarship entrepreneur. She's a hands-on person. She said right now she's visiting schools in all the districts. She had visited a couple of schools already in our district, District 11. As the young lady who spoke earlier prior to me speaking, we need to write a letter to the chancellor, have her come over, and we do a town hall gathering, whatever. Misha Porter is hands-on. I know she will address whatever issue and concern we have, and we do have a lot. With high school kids returning to school, elementary school kids doing virtual 1 day and 2 days or whatever, blending. We need to sit down and really iron out what we would like her to do, what we want her to do, and what our children need, and what our parents want. That's how we can go about doing this, is all working together with the CEC and with the Education Committee here at Board 12, because we do have a big job ahead of us. And I'm sure if we work together and be transparent and open-minded, we get a lot of work done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goff. Sydney, I see your hand. You've been so patient, and I'm so happy to see you. Please jump in there, please.
Hey, good evening,
Hey.
everyone. So I'm kind of piggybacking on Dr. Banks' point here. This is just commentary. When lockdown, I don't really understand what to call this now, honestly, but when lockdown first happened back in March, to piggyback on her point, I go to Lehman College, so that's a CUNY, and what they did was like throughout that semester. It was twice. Yeah, it was twice. Twice during that semester, they actually stopped teaching classes for like a week to get professors like accommodated online, to get students accommodated with devices, because they knew how many students were relying on like campus libraries and whatnot to get their homework done. And my main critique then is still kind of my main critique now as a CUNY student is, and really this is a critique of, really a critique across, like, this is a general assumption critique, so this doesn't apply to every teacher, but it applies to, I feel like it applies to many. As a young millennial, as K through 12 are Gen Z, we're assumed to be very technologically savvy, and that is not the case for everyone. So my main critique for CUNY at the time was, I've been in college for a very long time because I have two majors, and all of my professors have always said, make sure you go on Blackboard, make sure you have your Blackboard set up. If you need help, go to the IT department. Just for when lockdown happened, and it almost felt like no professor knew how to use Blackboard, but we were still required to know how to use Blackboard. We were throughout, even when we were going in person. Like, we were sometimes almost ridiculed by professors for not using Blackboard, for not knowing how to use CUNY first, to apply, to register for classes, to use our classes. And I feel like that kind of thing is also happening in this K through 12 setting in DOE, where certain teachers are assuming that like students know how to use the softwares and the devices and whatnot. Like, yes, we know that they have literally like grown up cradled with devices, but that's not the case. And I feel like while we're we're rightfully focusing on trying to get teachers proper training to do online, because unlike CUNY and unlike colleges, K through 12 has really been mostly in person. Like, you would only, honestly, I only feel like, and I say this not judgingly, but like only the better schools have all like kind of done this kind of hybrid thing where they have their Google Classroom set up. So a lot of those teachers at the better schools already kind of jumped in when everything happened last March. And so to piggyback on her comment, while we're focusing on the teachers, we should also make sure that we're helping students learn how to use the software. She mentioned doing simulation. We're doing simulations. I'm in the nursing program at Lehman. We're doing simulations for lab, for clinical and whatnot, where we use the software. Some people don't know how to use it. And it's not necessarily people who are older and people like, it's really people across the board. We need help using the software. I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for others. And I feel like for K through 12, especially the younger ones, like, yeah, they know how to use tablets and whatnot, but they use it to go on YouTube and, watch their things. And we people as parents see when their kids, like, you like give your kid a tablet for a few hours and you're like, girl, I left you on Coco Melon. What are you doing on this? Like, they clearly don't know how to use it properly. So we should also make sure that we are reaching out to students and helping them use the softwares, helping them use Google Classroom, helping them, use whatever other softwares that teachers are implementing to supplement class time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience. Thank you. Pamela Johnson. Pamela, did did you want to jump in here? You're fine?
Yeah, no. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay, well, thank you, welcome. Dr. Joseph, boy, we got a lot of doctors, I'm loving it. Dr. Joseph,
Yes, I'm here. With
good evening,
regard
sir,
to,
how are you?
I am doing okay. How are you?
Fine, thank you, welcome. I just wanted to make sure that you were welcome and to find out if there was anything you'd like to jump in here with, any information or some input for us.
I guess what I would say with regard to using some of these teaching software, a lot of stuff online. I mean, I tend to go to Google in terms of using stuff like what we use. We are using classes now, Blackboard. So a lot of information online. And in terms of, I want to believe that the Department of Education has an IT department, and they're usually the ones between the IT department and the department that deals with online technology, instructional technology. They're the ones who tend to take care of that. But then at the college level, different people teach different things, different people do different things. I teach labs and I tend to use commercial software. I ask students to buy access. So there are a lot of different ways, a lot of different resources. Using Google is a good way to start.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
You're welcome.
Okay, Egeria, is there something that you wanted to add?
So with all of this being said, I'm just want to know, like, what do we as a community board, what do we provide? What can we provide, or what can we do to support this environment, to support the changes that's going on? And I mean, it has to be like prioritizing. I'm sure that we could say that we can do a lot of things that we can do, but maybe for the immediate is that we can put a plan together and say that there's something that we can implement, say, starting in September. You know, not so much now, but if we could put our heads together, you know, what can we provide? I mean, what support services can we provide for the youth? What support services can we provide for the youth that would make them, you know, come to us to even know that this support really exists? And are we appealing to the young persons, or are we appealing to the parents? Because, you know, I mean, the parents are in this in some respect, you know. Yeah, so what kind of things can we put together? I see that Dr. Banks has said that we could do workshops. Workshops is a perfect way of bringing kids together, maybe workshops that can be implemented during the summer. Like, everybody is not going to get SYEP, okay? Like, it's real clear. Everybody is not going to get SYEP. So for the persons who don't get SYEP, maybe we can present something that is, you know, not so much about education, but even about skill development, you know, or something on that line, something that's going to be attractive to them, that is still based on what they need, what we know they're going to need to go forward. Like, you know, are they going to get ready to graduate? Are they graduating this June? Are they going to get ready? Are they going to have a problem with graduation over the summer? Like, they have to go to summer school. But maybe juniors and seniors, we can do something to address them as a beginning stage. But I really want to see something that the community board will do that has a long-term impact on what we can provide for youth in the community. You know, the DOE, they provide what they do, but we can definitely provide some support. So just asking for suggestions.
And Jerry, can I just say one thing? If we can come up with services that are already existing, there are many people on this line that have churches or organizations that service youth in the community. Maybe we can come up with some kind of a directory to to a parent that says, I don't know what to do in the summertime, or, with my child, or, are there scholarship workshops? Is there,
Right.
some people don't even, believe it or not, Dollar Teacher has been around for a long time, and some parents don't even
Yes.
know that it exists. So,
Right.
maybe we can start collectively, look at this, see? Have a place where we can just say, I run a nonprofit organization, I do scholarship workshops
Yeah.
for youth and parents. Let me send that information to you, and then you will have a list, because there's enough people on this line that know where the resources are, that it can give you a kickstart in getting that together.
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And I also, like in a way, I mean, I know that people may think that parents aren't interested, but this may be a time to look and see a workshop with parents to say, these are sources, these are resources that is available. This is what you can do moving forward. Because there's so many parents are out here, they are so confused. They are stressed. Okay, they are stressed with, I have to now learn this material. I have to teach this material. I want my child to hurry up to go to school. Should I send my child to school? I mean, it's unreal what they have to go through if they have to work. They have to constantly work. So maybe for parents that would be interested in attending a workshop that's geared towards, these are resources and services that's available for, for your children. And you could do it in sections. You could have the elementary school parents, that's one venue or one avenue of resources. But then you have the high school, and especially junior and seniors. They definitely are parents that could be addressed just by themselves in terms of prepping for graduation, and like Dr. Banks said, prepping for going into college. So just segmenting them out, for what the workshop would be about. But I'm just thinking, like, this is what the community board can initiate. This is what they can do, like right now. This is what we can do between now and, say, to prep for now in June. This is what we could kick off over the summer, and something that we could get started in September.
Well, your conversation that you just had brings me to my good brother here, who's probably going to choke me, Clinton Mike. Clinton, I'm going to make you come out here and have just a couple of words, because we've had this conversation regarding help with, as a parent, with your children and with students.
You know I'm in the car driving, right?
It's okay.
That's all I'm saying.
You
That's
man.
all I'm saying. That's why I wasn't
You
on camera.
man.
But good evening, everyone. And hello.
Just be safe. Good evening.
You hear me, right? You hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say good evening. But yes, I have reached out to you previously about getting help with my children for virtual school, because it's been rough. And parents, yes, are stressed, as Juria said, and trying to learn material and trying to teach the material to the kids. It's a big problem. My kids are out of school. They will not be in school until September, August, actually. So that's my story.
And you know what's interesting about this? Those of you who know me know that I worked as a dean most of my career, and the rest of the part was assistant principal. But so meaning all of that to say, it was always a disciplinary position. And it seems like I was trying to ask them, do we need like virtual deans? because I've been getting nothing but parents. I mean, I'm talking to parents 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to keep them together, because the kids are just not listening, and the parents just don't know what to do. So yeah, this is a great idea, Egeria, to find out exactly what we can do. As you see in my hand, Pamela has been in my house somewhere, and I didn't know she was in there. But Dial-A-Teacher is through the United Federation of Teachers. I was planning on having Miss Walker here to speak to us, but she's not going to be able to come until next month. But it is something that parents, I'm sure if parents knew that it was available, it would really assist them. What I've noticed is a lot of my colleagues, former colleagues, they're working, they're doing tutoring, they're doing pods. I've had several schools contact me asking, would I like to do would I like to do a pod? Would I like to do a group? Would I like to, they're just trying to figure out how to get some help, because the parents, they really don't know. They don't know, they don't understand, they don't have, I was watching today, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the devices. District 10 was on the news today talking about it.
Right.
So, Miss DeWitt.
Yes, I was going to ask you about her.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. I see you in the chat. Can you please talk to me?
Yes, hello, good evening, my dear. How are you? And thank
Fine,
you for allowing me to participate.
Always welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I had put a comment in the chat just in terms of my sector that I work with is preschool and pre-K. And recently, last year, the Department of Education became the contractors for our contracts. And so now I find that a lot of the conversations from the DOE, even though they're now the ones that contract with us for pre-K and preschool, most of their directives are geared at K through 12. So I think just as a general, when you're talking about things you can do your agenda, just as a general ask, that would be mine, is that all notices, all information is now deemed as preschool through grade 12, because we are now under the umbrella of the Department of Education.
Thank you. Yes, I was looking at
Thank you.
I was looking at the letter that I received from my granddaughter's school, and it had 3K. It was 3K, pre-K, and grades K through 5, including students in District 75. So thank you.
Right.
I
Yes.
appreciate that. That's for the opt-in, for the blended learning.
Right, but there's just a little bit of another layer to that. There are standalone DOE 3K and pre-K, but centers like mine are considered NICES, which stands for New York City Early Education Centers. So we're considered as contractors with the Department of Education.
Okay, yeah, I see it. I see it here. This is what you had. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Could I just ask her a question as well?
Yes, please.
About the pre-K and because I think personally that that's the starting line. That's where this all begins, right there. It's very important and overlooked too much. That what you learn in pre-K is going to end up helping you somewhere when you get your doctorate. Trust me, it does. But I wanted to say, how did the COVID affect you and your level, and how is it affecting your children and pre-K?
So for us, the Department of Health and the Department of Education, because we're also a 12-year program. So when everybody went into lockdown in March, the approval was not given for the centers to reopen until September. We also went into remote. And as I was listening to the colleagues speaking about the challenges they faced dealing with older children, you can imagine what it was like trying to engage 3 and 4-year-olds.
Lord, yes.
But they did have a platform. We personally used what's called Class Dojo, and so that is child friendly. But thankfully, in September, we were given the approval to reopen and have on site. Of course, the social distancing still applies, which means there are less students in the building. Thankfully, my building is the space is appropriate in that there's open windows and there's other things that allow for me to accommodate all of my classrooms, just less students in each room. And so outside of that, though, everything, I gotta actually hold on just 1 second for me because I do have to take a call, so I'm gonna mute myself.
I'm sorry. My phone, I'm still in my car, and my phone was acting up very, very badly, so I missed a whole lot. I started missing from when Johnny was speaking, and I had to cut off and come back on, so I apologize. And I'm sure I missed something very important.
I'm just happy to see you, Dina.
Huh?
I said, I'm just thrilled to see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yes, so I'm back. So I was just saying that again, for us, it's been more of a challenge of getting the parents used to the social distancing because the students being so young, they come in looking for the teachers to show them. So the teachers wearing the mask, the teachers social distance, it's been a very easy transition for them. I gotta mute one more time, please, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I missed the end of what Johnny was saying about the chancellor. My phone kept cutting in and out.
Johnny, are you still on? Dr. Goff?
Dr. Goff. I couldn't hear what you said, and I couldn't.
Basically, if I can kind of, oh, is she there? Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect.
Hi, Dr. Goff. I'm sorry, my phone was going in and out, and I didn't hear what you were saying about.
I spoke, and I also had a sit-down talk with our new executive superintendent, Erica Tobias. She came from 41. She was a principal there, then a superintendent in District 8, and now she's a executive superintendent, the job that Misha Porter had.
Yes.
Her job is right now is to visit schools. In District 11, she already visited 2 schools. And when I saw her and met with her on Saturday, she came to the Bronx to the Women History celebration that I had. And she said she's hands-on. She's willing to meet and talk with groups. Right now, she's visiting schools. I know she told Zenobia White, who's a high school principal at the Altoona campus, she will be visiting her school before the end of March. So I was listening to what our chair of the ed department was saying, prior to either Nigeria to write a letter or to invite her. We could put together or a town hall or whatever when we're able to have physical meeting rather than virtual. And I'm pretty sure, like the young lady said earlier, if we as an ed group and a community come together, we can make a whole lot of changes and help our youth. So those that don't get a job this summer, like Egeria said, we can do something for them because, as I said before, I deal with a lot of remote students and parents, and they are stressed out. They do need assistance. Mental health, the young lady that was talking about mental health, where is the mental health that's going to be in our schools, in our district? Because we really do need them. Even at the age of 4, children that in my nursery school, I could see them having some kind of counseling or some kind of meeting for mental health because they have such a behavior problem.
Absolutely. So, I remember a few years back at Juria, do you remember this? When we were trying to start a group from pre-K to college. You remember that?
Yes, I do. And
Yeah.
that focus group was part of why Bill de Blasio started the universal pre-K for all, because that's why we met. It was a focus group just to discuss how parents needed school for the younger children, and it did needed to start younger. So that's where the universal pre-K for all had started. Yes, so I do remember that because, the education, it really starts, it has to be a continuum starting from 4 years old at least up through 12th grade. And it has to not even just say end at 12th grade. Why doesn't it say it goes from 4-year-old up through college, because college is really the new, it's not an end to education. Education, there is no end. There is no end. The thing is, you have to get people ingrained into just what education is, and just constantly thinking about you got to be in a classroom, you got to have the books, you got to do the test. That's not all that it is. It is a lot more than that. And I feel that the community board, that all of the experienced people on this call, and with all the experiences that you have, that you bring to this table, all the programs that you have, that you created because of the experience, because of knowing that just, how you say reading, writing, and arithmetic is not all that there is, and that we as the community board can create that supplemental thing. And we could talk about that. We could go back and talk about it started as a focus group, but it may need to continue.
Could you come here a second?
It just may need to continue.
Well, right now, I do believe that we have a critical issue. We're at a critical mass for getting these children back into school and getting these schools functioning since they're wide open now. I mean, I like what Dr. I'm
Thanks.
sorry, I can't see her name right now, but
Dr.
the training. Dr. who?
Banks?
Yes, that is correct. Money Banks. That's all I remember it now. Show me the money, Dr. Banks. Okay, because what she said needs to be done. It has to be
Yes.
done. It has to be done pre-K through the university level. But for now, like I said, I really in my heart believe that we need to open the schools. I would love to have the schools open. That's the best way they can function. But we're still like pulling for straws. There has to be a training segment for all. I remember back in the 90s when the computers started coming in, the students knew much more about them than we did.
Yeah.
Students had to teach me. And then I went back to the university to learn. So we're behind the 8 ball again. We are. And there's other ways to teach. Like teaching to me for science is better in the street. You're looking at the trees, they're real. Not in the book. That's the way it goes.
Thank you. Dr. Burke? Dr. Burke?
Yes. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was busy writing a letter.
Not a problem. I just
yes.
wanted to know if you would like to jump in and say anything.
Well, it looks like you guys had a fantastic meeting.
Yes.
So it looks like I'm hearing a couple of action items. So the first action item a couple that I would suggest. It seems like with the mental health piece, I know that Mrs. Claus committee is actually looking into that next month. So it seems like there may be a collaboration that could take place with this committee and the Library and Cultural Affairs Committee, because I know that that's a topic that she just put on my desk as of yesterday. So I know that that's coming up. So you guys may want to reach out to her for that.
Okay.
It seems like there needs to be, and again, Madam Chair, I don't know who you want to make the point person, but somebody, on your committee probably needs to draft a letter to the superintendent per the suggestion of Dr. Robbins. And again, I don't know whether you want to do it, whether you want to, because it sounds like you have plenty of people here that will help you do that. Between yourself, between Dr. Goff, Ajiri, and Dr. Robbins, I don't see why, that can't happen. That's two. Three, it seems like this is where the not-for-profit committee can actually come in, because if they can write some grants and team up with somebody like Mrs. Johnson, then of course that can, lead to, scholarship, well, not scholarship opportunities, that can lead to opportunities for educational reform and helping a lot of the students, because as you know, part of the problem is that what I'm hearing from Clinton and others is that not only did students have issues with and Sydney as well, not only did students have issues with the software, but hell, parents had issues with it as well, and even some of the professors. So that is something that I think we can look into, because the question that I'm going to have is, in the fall, is it still going to truly be a in-person experience? And the answer that what I'm hearing is the answer is probably not. So that's something that we need to I think maybe look into as well. And I say this as a former professor, that and I think I've had this conversation with some of you, is that when I was at Lehman, what I discovered was that a lot of the students really were not prepared for college. And again, and coming from an HBCU background, where professors love you, but they love you hard, I was like, if you're not cut out for it, then maybe this isn't for you. And I think that's, again, that's the approach that we had at Hampton. So, maybe this is not your major. Maybe you should look at something else. So I think that there are lots of things that I don't want this committee to get overburdened per se, because it's a lot. But I think, and that's where delegation comes in, Madam Chair. And it seems like you have a lot of people willing to help you. So what I'm going to ask participants to do is, if you're willing to help Mrs. Dickerson, if you're willing to help our first Vice Chair, Ajiria, and all the others, then, put your contact information, send her a contact information privately in the chat, so that she can reach out to you. And anything that I can do, to help you on, the community board level, just, let me know. But, the first Vice Chair is, I know that I'm looking forward to her work, because this is her cup of tea. And, and again, anything I can do from on high, just let me know. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Truly appreciate it. I also put my email and my phone number, which everybody should have, in the chat as well.
My phone is active.
Thank you, Dr. Banks. Your email, okay, perfect. That's what I needed. Well, we are winding down, and
I want to ask a question or present something to our committee.
Sure.
If that's okay. I'm willing to write if you need a letter, about some of the things that we discussed prior to what I'm about to say. But I'm coming not as a member of the Education Committee. I'm coming as the president of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the Bronx branch, which I'm the president. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Abolition Day has been instituted for this year as of the second Monday in July in New York State. And it's been signed by the governor. And it was started by Mrs. Bessie Jackson, who was the state director of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And it's the very first one coming up in July. And we would need support for this so that everyone in the state knows that there was slavery in this state. Matter of fact, it was the second highest number of slaves, second to South Carolina, proportionately. And many people don't know about that. But it has been signed by the governor. Mrs. Jackson will be receiving a proclamation for her participation for being the forebearer of this. I would like to at least let the board, let everybody in our area know that that's going to be forthwith from the second Monday of July of 2021.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe you could put it in the newsletter or however it needs to be, but people need to know about it. It's called Abolition Day. It's supposed to be a state holiday, the first state holiday that we ever had.
Wow, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, but we need ideas too. If you have any, you could text some ideas to me, or if you're interested, just let somebody can let you know, Charlene,
Yes,
if you're interested in helping us to plan some events. It's it's the first time. It's the very first time, but everybody needs to know that slavery was abolished in New York State. Most people don't even think it ever existed here.
thank you very much. You
Mm-hmm.
never stop. You never ever stop learning. Dr. Banks, you're gonna be tired of me because I'm really what stuck in my head is Lapster, and that Lapster stuck in my head. And then when you said Lapster, I looked at Egeria and I thought of Grant, because I always tell everybody I am not the writer, I am the beggar.
Uh-huh.
So just keep that in mind. I have my little hand looks like a cup. Okay, is there anything else? Let me see. Is there anyone else I missed? I'm missing Miss Gibson on the call. Is she here? Okay, I don't have her on the call. Okay, just want to make sure I have included everyone. Madam First Chair, where do we go from here?
Well, if everything has been addressed and everybody has, spoken and said what they have to say, you can ask for a motion to close the meeting.
I'm sorry, I need some clarity here.
Uh-huh.
I want to know who is writing the letter to the district superintendent.
Well, let me just jump in,
charge of that?
Tina. So right now, that doesn't, I know you volunteered, so technically, if you volunteered, you can write it. I don't think that, we had that hadn't been assigned yet, but it seems like you want to do it. That's fine. Go ahead. I'm
I
sure
know it
Madam
needs
Chair
to
won't
be
mind me just
done.
dictating that to you.
No, it needs to be done.
And as I said, if you want collaboration, I would run it by Madam Chair. Nothing goes out without Madam Chair and first vice chair is taking a look at it.
I
So,
would never
you
do
need
it
to run,
without them.
run it by Jerry and Tolene. I would have a couple of other eyes look at it too.
Right.
So
And
that
I
as
have
far as that
signature.
action item is concerned, as far as
Madam
adjourning the
Chair.
meeting, the only thing that needs to happen is call a motion for it to end, and then if you want to end in prayer, you can. But that's it. So I don't know if anything has been assigned. I think that can come from my
Well, I have to
experience. That can
collaborate
come.
with Johnny because that was her idea.
What's that?
I have to collaborate with Dr. Goff.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
I was going to say we all, Dr. Burke and Madam Chair Dixon, I learned from working, with collaboration with a lot of people. When Dr. Dana draft up her letter,
right,
thing that we, who's going to assist her, would like to have in the letter, we could draft up something ourselves, not a whole letter now, just a point called pointers that you would like to have in the letter in case she, missed something. And I also was advised by Dr. Burke and many others that when you send a letter to a chancellor or a superintendent, have many signatures on it. For instance, like if Dana wrote the letter, Madam Chair will sign it, and then she could send, and also members of the Ed Department, and because names is recognition.
Without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, because the more name, it's almost like a petition. The more name you have on, the more clout you have.
Definitely. Old school, more the merrier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Old school teacher, it's like do now on the board.
Not later, now.
Right, exactly. Okay, so where were we? We were calling a motion. Am I calling the motion?
No, I
No.
move that the meeting for the Education Committee be adjourned.
Okay.
Second, Dr. Robbins.
I see
There's some
Clinton.
unreadiness. Yeah, Clinton's.
Clinton, yeah.
Oh, he put his hand up. I just spoke.
He's second, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Then we say, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so since everybody
Some of
has,
them came on the news about Carl Hasty.
Yeah, he has COVID after he took the shot,
yes, he took the shot a couple of days. He took the shot on Saturday.
March the 6th. He took it, they say.
Yeah, COVID positive today.
But he probably get a mild case, I pray.
Yeah.
Because that goes to
Good
prove
take.
that once you get the vaccine, that you're not immune if you only have one shot.
Yes.
Unless you had the Johnsons, and that's only 75%. There's no exact science here. So he'll be all right, prayerfully.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely keep them in our prayers.
Okay.
Without a doubt. By the way, Madam Chair, don't forget to you've taken the roll so you know who's here and who's not here. So, you got only one unexcused absence.
Yes.
Unless you were notified. So if you
No,
weren't
I
notified.
haven't. I
Okay,
haven't.
so that's unexcused. That's it. I just want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to lead us out in prayer because this is a very good meeting. I mean, I'm very happy with what I heard from all the collaborators. So if you don't mind, and let me share never mind. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this meeting that we had of the Education and Youth Services Community at Community Board 12. Lord, we thank you for our chairperson, Madam Tolene Dickerson. We thank you for our vice chairperson. We thank you for our first vice chair of the community board, Mr. Jerry Bennett, and all the collaboration and wonderful discussion that we had. Lord, we ask that you continue to touch our hearts, continue to touch our minds, continue to touch our souls, Lord, so we may continue working hard for you through this community board. And Lord, we ask and pray that you protect the speaker, all of our elected officials, Lord, and you ask that we keep this community moving forward, Lord, because we are transforming into greatness, Lord. And we ask this in all other prayers in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Good night, y'all.
Amen.
Night.
Okay. Good night.
Everybody's got on half. You got your bottom part of the pajamas on, so it's not that hard.
I'm in my car. Don't you dare say that.
Yeah, I've had on pajamas in the car before. I had on pajamas in the car before, Deacon. Trust me.
All right. Okay.
Pajamas and house slippers. Everybody
Good
be safe.
night.
Take care. Great meeting. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Night.
Smile for me. Smile for me one more time before you go.
Who that?
Anthony Reed, the Vice Chair.
Smile, Anthony. That was his smile.
I guess. Now let's see.
Night.
We'll stop the recording.
Yeah, stop the recording.
1 hour and 19
There go the
minutes.
smile. You got the smile. There go the smile.
Oh, yeah. 1 hour and 19 minutes. Good meeting.
Right. See y'all.
All right. Kiss Maisha for me.
I think about it.
Whatever.
I think about it. I don't like her like that.
Oh no, you was liking her. You was liking her out in Nola.
Hey, Maya Bennett.
Hey.
Hey, Bennett.
My sister's getting ready to leave and go there.
Yeah. Tell her enjoy.
That's good. I'm glad you're back and you're safe.
48 hours. 48 hours in NOLA.
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night.
Okay, good night, darling.